Alright guys, so we're day like, I don't know, 4 or 5 now, and still waiting for that other fog light to come in. It's going to come in any minute now, but while I was waiting, I was trying to clean things up, and in the back here, there, you can kind of see, I put these like little stick-on zip tie holder things that you can get at like a Home Depot kind of place, and put those on, put the screws through it, try to hold this wire down, but I think it just looks cheap and shitty. So I have the extra time, and I want to make it look nice. So, and I want it more secure than some piece of crappy plastic with a zip tie on it. So I got these little retaining clip things from Lowe's, and they're gonna go on those same screws, kind of get bolted down, and then that's gonna hold this guy really securely. It's gonna look really clean. It's also black, which works. And then I can continue to route it. So I can use these license plate mounts, but then I can also route it over here into the, right into that little hole, so it can kind of tuck out of the way and you never really see it, which is gonna be cool. So I'm gonna work on that. It's also my first chance to really test the strength of this JB weld, and holy shit, is that on there? That is that is really on there. Like, I think this is, love it or hate it, this license plate bracket is going to be on this bumper forever. But I love it, so that's okay with me. So here is the completed wire routing for the length of wire that's on the light, and then I have to wait until I splice it together with some more wire to keep going, because it basically just ends right here. But I'm going to put on one of those, thick kind of spider web wire harnesses to kind of keep it thick like that, and just keep it going. I'm going to end up tracing it's going to come through this hole here, and then it's going to trace the fog light wire into under the hood and into my switch panel. So that's that. So just wanted to talk about this kind of impulse buy I had. This is a 15-inch light made by Extreme Terrain's manufacturing company called Raxiom. That you can only get from Extreme Terrain. It's the light, it looks really great. I'm sure it puts out shit tons of light. I have these same kinds of LEDs on my spotlights on my windshield lights, and just a little 4-pack of them on each side of my windshield, and they put out buttloads of light. So I'm sure this is going to be just stupid. The problem I have with this is that they don't really give you information anywhere. Like I tried really hard to find information on what the dimensions are on these circles, on these mounting holes, and they don't exist. So I measured it myself, what you end up with, and it's not a direct fit for a Smittybilt XRC bumper. So if you're somebody who's looking at a Smittybilt bumper and thinking about light bars, don't get the Raxiom 15-inch. It's not a direct fit unless you want to do what I did and drill holes and stuff. So the problem is the light bar it's a 14-inch light bar, but these mounting, so it's 14 inches from each end of the housing. It's 15 inches from this point to this point here. So that's 15 inches. So if you start to look down here at our mounting surface, the holes on the bumper are 15-inch center, 15-inch here center, and then you have a 12-inch center here and here. So what you end up with this light, since the mounting bracket end is right at 15 inches, is that you end up with this thing that comes out an inch in either direction. So you come down with the bracket and you have 13 inches, 13-inch centers from the frickin' brackets, which why would you have a 13-inch center? That's stupid. And then you have 16-inch if you go out the other way. So if you go 16-inch, it's just barely too wide to fit in the bumpers, in the factory, or in the bumper mount positions. And if you flip it around the other way like I did, then you're at 13, and so you're too narrow for the 15-inch bolts, and you're too wide for the 12-inch holes. So you're just screwed. So I ended up having to drill a hole almost exactly in between the two mounting holes that were already provided and nicely powder coated and, you know, for me from Smittybilt. I ended up having to drill, which pissed me off. But I put it on, and then I don't love how tall it is. This thing's really, it's too tall. Like, come on, guys. This thing should be, you know, 2 inches shorter at least. Maybe even, well, maybe like 1.5 inches shorter, but it should be a lot shorter. So at some point, I'm gonna find a friend somewhere that can machine me some mounts or can bend me some steel. The reason I couldn't do it myself is it's got these, you know, it's got that radius kind of ridging, and I don't know how to do that. So I was just gonna get like just an L mount from Home Depot and just make it work, but I don't know how to make that happen. So if any of my machinist friends or any of my metalworking friends know how to make that happen for me, I will pay you good money for a bracket that is 2 inches tall, that has a foot with a hole at about 1/2 inch out from the mounting point. So if you can do that, give me a call, give me an email. If I don't know you personally, drop a message on my YouTube and I'll contact you. Thanks. All right, very good news, ladies and gentlemen. Got my last fog light in. You're probably not as excited as I am, but I can tell you I'm very, very excited right now. It was more expensive than it turned out that I wanted it to be, or it turned out more expensive than I wanted it to be, but it's okay, it's done. I can get this freaking bumper off my floor day after tomorrow. So my install day is 4th of July, which is perfect for this. What they just found out is the most American vehicle built right now is a Jeep Wrangler, 2017 Jeep Wrangler. So 4th of July is a good day for a build day for this thing. Anyway, here we go. All right, they're in, they're done. Zip tie that guy up, get him out of the way, and we're going to put the winch back on, and then we're going to go ahead and wire the control box to the winch, because I mean, at this point, what's another 5 or 10 pounds to this frickin' bumper? I'm already going to need people to help me lift it, so I might as well get as much done here and now as I can, and then install day will just be an install and then running the wires to the battery. So let's get that done. Alright, good news is there's plenty of room for the fog lights in there. So let's start this process again of trying to futile effort of finger tightening these bolts. And I'm going to red Loctite these. Red Loctite is just like blue Loctite, and aside from the fact that it happens to be red, it's much stronger, much harder to take off later, which is good for a theft deterrent, and it's also good to keep this winch on there, because now that everything's mounted, I can't see a reason I'll ever take this winch off of my Jeep. So, a nice healthy coat of red Loctite. Alright, so winch is on, fog lights are on, we've attached all of the things. Woo! So now, let's go ahead and slap the control box on the winch and call it a day. Call it a build, because then we'll be done with the apartment side of the build. Alright, look at the control box. Okay, so here is our X20 control box. There are 1,000,002 different ways you can mount this thing, but I am going to mount it like everybody mounts their winch. I don't even know why they offer so many options, because everyone mounts their winch right here. You can mount it in the cab, you can mount it in the engine bay, which I think is silly. You can mount it off to the side here, which I think also would look kind of stupid. You can mount it up top in some weird thing like this, I don't know, like that, which I'm just going to put it in the center like everybody does. It makes more sense that way. So that's what we're going to do next. So it turns out Smittybilt, like me, uses both metric and standard interchangeably on their stuff. So I guess I can't really fault them because I did the same thing, but it makes it kind of a pain in the ass when trying to find tools. So this is an M3 Allen key to loosen and tighten the motor, the control box mounts. I don't know. I think I might actually Loctite those as well. Yeah, they got to come all the way off anyway. So I'm gonna get some Loctite on these screws because I feel like these are the only things that are holding the motor mount in place. So, I mean the motor mount, the control box mount, the control box. This mount is the only thing that's holding the control box in place. So I'm gonna give it red Loctite because I don't want anybody stealing my shit. And something tells me if I put red Loctite on this, it'll strip out your Allen key before you get those bolts off. So it's going to go like that. I'm going to obsess about this and get it exactly, perfectly in the middle. All right. So, if you're doing this, keep in mind that this is gonna suck. I don't know what it is, but these little brackets. Here, let me take the phone off the holster here. These little brackets. Here. All right, this is a terrible image, but these little brackets here, and probably an even worse image here. From this side, you can kind of see it a little better. This screw going into this little bracket. It's got to go over this little lip here, and it does not want to do that. This one ended up, I think it's even cross-threaded. This one I tried to do it with another piece, with the other hardware from the other side, and that felt like it was starting to cross-thread, so I switched them out so I wouldn't risk stripping out the thing. And now this guy, it's in there, and it's solid, but I swear I cross-threaded it as I was doing it. I'm not sure how tight it's supposed to be, because just tightening it, just tightening these just to tighten them, a little bit, takes a shit ton of force. For that tiny little, 3mm Allen key, I feel like this is about as tight as it's going to get. Now it's not moving, it's in there solidly, but I feel like this winch really wants you to bend the aluminum of these mounts in order to make them fit solidly, so I think that's probably why it did that, but Jesus, that was a pain in the ass. Anyway, that's mounted, so now we're going to do the wiring. Alright, so onto the wiring. There is a ground strap. So there's two wires that say A on them. Assume this is the ground, and then this goes from here to the ground. And then we have, let me get these things cut, straightened out. Looks like it's fairly self-explanatory. We have this wire that, God willing, will reach the battery. Doesn't look long enough, but we'll see. Because I don't even know what gauge this is, like frickin' 1, 0, I don't know. But this thick ass wire has to make it to the battery. So I'm hoping that Smittybilt knows that this is going on a Jeep and that it's going to go to the battery. I mean, yeah, it's hopefully long enough. It feels like it's about 6 feet long, maybe. So let's hope for that. Then we have a ground wire. Where did I put my things? We have ground wire that goes from the A terminal to the negative terminal of the battery. Sorry, A terminal, negative terminal of the battery. I do like that they labeled all this stuff really well. The wires, I mean, they labeled all the wires really well. They did a shit job of labeling everything else. And then you just have BCD. B, C, and D. Is that showing up on there? Sorry, B, C, and D, A, B, C, D. So let's take these nuts off. We will not, I say again, we will not be Loctiting these particular connections. You don't fuck around with Loctite on an electrical connection. So we're just gonna do these the good old-fashioned way with sweat and grit. So they have lock washers on C and D, but they do not have lock washers on A and B. So they have lock washers on the leads that are, these two leads that I don't know what they do. Maybe control the in and out leads probably. So those have lock washers, but for some reason the, oh no, these do too. So the only one that doesn't is the negative terminal, which I suppose makes some sense. Now, is there a way I can route this so that, no, I can't, because there's potentially going to be rope there. So I'm going to put these on their terminals, and then I'm going to leave them loose, because I want to figure out a way that I can hopefully do something about this slack, so that it's not just flapping around in my bumper, but we'll see. Something tells me this is going to be a results may vary kind of a deal. I'm just setting them up so that there's the most kind of space between them so that I can get to them all. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of room for creativity where you're putting these wires or how you're routing them. I'm going to loosen up A to drop that smaller wire down, because A and B are not friends. They do not want to be anywhere near each other. So I'm going to point A off that way, like that. Also worth noting, A does not have a boot. Right, double check everything. Yeah, there's no boot for A, so I think that's because A is, this is all A. A is just ground. So I don't think you need a boot for that. Everybody else is some form of positive. So now the winch is wired. There is very little opportunity for creativity, like I said, with the wires, where you're going to put them. I could maybe bunch this cluster together and that'll give it some rigidity. That's about it. Now that I did that, I want A under D, but okay. There. That is our winch. Now I'm going to wrap these wires up. And stuff them in here for transport. Because at this point, the dishes are done. build is over. Everything that can be done in the apartment is now complete. Woohoo! So we'll clean up a little bit and then we'll do a walk around. Alright, here we go. This is what it looks like. All assembled. Everything's where it needs to be. The winch is on. License plates on. The lights are on. Even the ones I didn't think I was going to buy. Fairlead's on. Everybody's on. Everything's attached. Even the control box on the winch. Everything. So this is what it's going to look like on a Jeep. So tune in next time for the install video. Cheers.